Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 12 at Gulfstream Park, one of 9 graded stakes. 10 stakes on the card on Fountain of Youth Saturday. It's the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Mile. Let's take a peek at this field. It is a big competitive field, Mike. Fat Man, the 3, 4-1 on the morning line. Why not? Coming off a triple-digit buyer win in the Fred Hooper. He got a fast pace that day.
Yep.
He might get a lively pace once again.
I don't see how this pace isn't. A little on the better side of fast. They got to be going good in this race early, and Fat Man took advantage of it last time. He could do it again.
You got Zendon at 9-2, and you got your tepid morning line favorite, Mr. Freeze. Talk about taking on some tough competition. Tom's D'Etat in both the Fayette and the Clark. Yeah. And then last time out, Mucho Gusto ran the race of his life to beat him in a Pegasus.
Yeah, this horse has been in very good form lately. Maybe he's getting a little bit of class relief that he needs right now.
He's also getting some distance relief, and we'll talk about if maybe that works against him in this sort of field. Let's look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race. Red bar situation, expecting a fast pace. Now, you know it's going to be a fast pace if you think Bodie Express is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. 5th after the first half mile or so. I don't know, Mike. I think Bodie Express has got to run and gun from the rail. That just adds to the pace picture.
I kind of agree with that. I'd be surprised if he was that far back in the early going of the race, but we'll see what happens. If you know anything about Bodie Express, he's fast, but he's not a great gate horse.
He is not a great gate horse. He gets very excited in the warm-ups, very fractious behind the gate, and he pulls and is keyed up in his races, as he was in the Pegasus World Cup. He prompted Mr. Freeze. He pushed Mr. Freeze. Maybe he softened Mr. Freeze up just a little bit for Mucho Gusto. Maybe turning back to a mile is really what he wants all along. I think the jury's still out. I think there are a lot of people that think he's just been knocking on the door, is waiting for a breakout performance. And I think there are some of us who are like, not sure how good he is.
Yeah, I don't think I would argue too hard with anybody who thought that he was like right there and ready to break through. I don't know if I look at him that way. Ultimately, I just don't really love either of his last 2 races. Not that I expected him to win the Pegasus World Cup last time, but I didn't love his Harlan's Holiday either 2 starts back. But you know what? Getting to the 1-turn mile, I wonder if that can help him.
High Call, the number 2. Well, he's hoping for as fast a pace as possible up front. Now, before he went to the sidelines last year, it looked like he was going to be a really good 3-year-old one-run, one-turn type of horse. Yeah. When he won the Gotham, when he won the Wingfield. Then in the Wood, he ran really well to be 3rd going a mile 8th, but he got a big pace to run at that day that helped him out. Unfortunately, he went to the sidelines. He has a prep, though, for the Gulfstream Mile, a race at Aqueduct on January the 5th. He's on the far outside. Remember, first race off the layoff, wet track. He's coming with the run, and a Lone Rock kind of intimidates a bit in the stretch.
Yeah, it looks like High Cal's going to go by him here in the late stages, but you're going to see Lone Rock on the lead here start to drift a little bit. It bothers High Cal. He doesn't get by at the end. I still thought it was a good place to start off the long layoff. And then when you go back to what he was doing early as a 3-year-old, you sort of feel like there's a lot of upside here, Dan. It is worth pointing out that he got a great trip when he won the Wingfield right up the inside, and he got a wicked pace in the Gotham when he came up the inside again to win that race. So maybe he's a little pace dependent, but in that race we just saw the pace was slower. He stayed closer.
We'll see if he is an improved 4-year-old, second time off a long layoff, and gets the right pace set up. Fat Man is next. Fat Man goes out for a very underrated trainer that I think is just going to get more and more attention as he keeps winning races. J.K. Sweezy, winner of the Fred Hooper last time out. Let's watch Fat Man. Big pace setup. Here he comes on the outside with the Orange Cat. Come with this fatso on the outside to run this field down.
He got a great ride from Irad Ortiz in this race. He saved the early ground. Irad got him out into the clear at the right time. The Fat Man does the rest. He runs this field down. His last 2 races, in fact, Dan, both over this track, he ran really well both times.
No, I think that little layoff after running into Spun to Run, listen, he was in good form before that race, and Spun to Run just freaked out at that point in time. Right. He has come back now really good. The Harlan's Holiday, rock solid effort that day. And again, give this horse some pace at these middle distances. He's going to come with a run, and he's usually never bet.
Yeah, that's true too. And the other thing about him is, as much as he, can take advantage of a fast pace, he's not one of those horses who just gets totally outrun when they go fast. He's a sort of sits in mid-pack, so he doesn't leave himself with that much to do.
Forever Mo has spent most of his career on the turf, where he's had some pretty good success. He's multiple stakes placed on the surface. The last time he raced on dirt was in an off-the-turf race on August the 2nd. Let's watch that race right now, because he pops a career best buyer speed figure of 93. He's on the outside. These are mostly turf horses in a short field, but he gets the job done. And after that race, it was back to turf, where he's had a string of okay performances. I realize that maybe getting back to the dirt wakes him up, but he is stepping way up in class.
Yeah, it just feels like a really tough spot for him. I'll take nothing away from this win from him. He's very game to get it done at the end of the day. if he just shows up here and runs that race back, he's probably not getting anything.
We saw Zenden get run down by Fat Man. He was second in the Fred Hooper, and he did a lot of dirty work in that race. And I wonder if he's slowly running himself back into shape for Todd. This is going to be his fourth effort now off of a spring layoff. Yeah. That was a really nice performance. Here's the issue. If you think there's a lot of pace in this race, I'm not sure if Zenden right now is capable of rating. He did it in his career debut. If he could do it here, I'd like him a little bit better. Yeah. I just wonder if he's going to be a pace casualty once again.
Yeah, we'll see if he can sit. I mean, he did, I don't want to take anything away from him for his Hooper. He did run well that day. The pace was fast. He was right up there on it. When I go back and watch it, Dan, I was concerned that he just couldn't get away. He had an 80-to-1 shot sort of forcing him around the turn. He couldn't get away from that horse. And then when the Fat Man came, he had no chance to stop that horse. He didn't run poorly, but I wonder if he ran as well as the triple-digit buyer suggested he did.
Talk about a roller coaster career for the number expert. I mean, this is a horse who's now on his seventh trainer, Dominic Schettino. He's been claimed multiple times, and guess what? He won 4 in a row going into his most recent race, and he was favored over Preservationist, who became one of the top older horses in the country last year on May the 23rd. Let's go back to expert traits. Wet track at Belmont. Preservationist is going to get the best of it shooting up the rail. Expert fights really hard. He's the big, stout horse on the outside about to make the front.
He ran his race here, that's for sure. He can't get it done at the end of the day with Preservationist coming through on the inside, but he ran another good one here. He was just running one good race after another. At this time, who knows what we get now, Dan? It's been a long time since we've seen him. He's starting back in a graded stakes race. I'll tell you what, if he comes back in the form that he was in, he is not out of this. I just don't know what we're going to get.
Right running style. It just seems like ever since they got him in mid-pack, let him relax a little bit early, he's been able to come with a run, working fast at Palmettos. Dominic Schettino gotten off to a really hard start at this meet at Gulfstream. Here's True Timber, who certainly has the credentials to win a race like this. True Timber was third in the Cigar Mile, and I thought, all things considered, the 1-2 finishers were the chalks. They ran 1-2 around the track. You wanted to be near the inside that day. True Timber was basically 5 wide all the way around the track, and he ran a fine third. And then every year they try to stretch him out to a mile and 1/8, the distance that he doesn't want in the Pegasus, where he's just overmatched. Draw a line through the Pegasus. If he runs the Cigar, he's obviously a threat. I don't know if I like the blinkers on.
I wonder what that's all about. He certainly has races that are going to give him a big look in this race, and I do feel like this is probably the right kind of distance. The elongated one-turn races is what he likes. I don't know, Dan, I just couldn't talk myself to him. He's a really nice horse. He's got some good races. I'm looking for other horses in here.
Timeform US has rare form on the lead. He's been on the lead several times in his career, but last time out in the Hooper, he kind of ran one of his better races when he was able to sit just off for the lead, and I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I have a feeling that Bodie Express might be taking his place on the Timeform US pace, but he'll be close. There's no doubt about it. He has to be close, but I don't think he's making the lead.
I can see that. Maybe they won't try to put him on the lead. He has plenty of speed if they like to use it. It's interesting that they didn't last time, though. Flavian Pratt rode him for the first time, and not only did he not send this horse, Rare Form looked pretty comfortable sitting in behind the lead in that race. He didn't look like a horse who was uncomfortable rating off the pace. Maybe they try it again here. He's run some nice races. I thought he was a little interesting in this race.
Mr. Freeze is probably the horse to beat in this race. He's had kind of an underrated career, hasn't he? Won the West Virginia Derby as a 3-year-old. The last time he ran a one-turn mile, he won the ACAC with a triple-digit buyer, and that began a string of starts against Tom Seta, one of the better handicap horses in the country. Mr. Freeze just not as good as he is. He ran well both times against that horse in the Fayette and the Clark. And then last time out in the Pegasus World Cup, we talked about it. Bodie Express was pushing him all the way. That's him on the outside. Bodie Express, the 12 in third. In second is Mr. Freeze. They have already given up the lead to Mucho Gusto's heading for the 20 million Saudi Cup. Mr. Freeze stays on nicely for second. Another good, solid effort.
Yeah, he ran well in this race. I mean, each of his last 3 starts, in fact, where he was either second or third, they're sort of carbon copies where he, was up there doing his best on the pace. No match for the horses that came to take over from him, but he didn't just give it up in the stretch. He kept racing on. He's a really nice horse. He obviously fits really well in this race. You like the cutback for him, or do you prefer him going longer?
I don't know. I was thinking about that. Maybe the cutback will be sharp and he'll be a little bit more outrun. We've seen him in his races that he likes to be close, and I have a feeling that he's going to have to earn this one from mid-pack. It's maybe a little bit of a threat, but perhaps his class can help him overcome that. As for Doucher and Hog Creek Castle, the last 2 horses in this race, they're one-run closers. They're going to be at the back of the pack, licking their chops at the possibility of a Timeform US red bar situation. Doucher especially, who can get the one-turn mile.
He can.
I think with the right scenario, I think he's better going 6 or 7, but this is a hard hitter. Last time out, he was in a short field.
Yeah.
Bobby's Wicked One is a pretty good horse when he gets everything his own way, as he did, and he had no chance. He ran fine. Listen, he's an okay horse. I just wonder if he's reached his peak now for Norm Cassie in the mid-90s by a range, and I think a triple digit gets it done on Saturday.
You know, I guess if nothing else, I'm a little worried about the 1 turn mile. I'm like you. I think he'll get it. I just wonder if he's a little better going shorter than this. But if nothing else, it's good to see that Norm Cassie, since he claimed him at least, has gotten him back racing competitive. And they're not his best races, but he's competitive again, because when Maker had him, he had that little hiccup. He missed time. What was it, Belmont Stakes Day? On one of the undercut races, they had to scratch him at the gate. And after that, it just felt like his form disintegrated. At least Norm Cassie's gotten him back running in competitive form.
Hog Creek Castle is just sort of a younger version of Duchère. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but he comes running if the pace is hot. He was a bias buster when he won the Woody Stevens, Mike. That was the day, if you remember, the rail was great on Belmont Stakes Day. That pace was wicked. Hog Creek Castle that went to the outside on the deeper footing and ran them all down. Then in the Jerkins, rail wasn't the place to be. Hog Creek Castle came with his run, and he just missed to a game and genuine mind control. This is a really underrated horse who comes out of the Bobby's Wicked One race where he had no chance. I mean, just think about that race. You had Duchère and Hog Creek Castle as the two closers that need pace, and you had Bobby's Wicked One.
Yeah, a 3-horse field. Bobby's Wicked One just cruising on the front, and they had no chance to catch him. It's just not a race you want to hold against him. What I thought was interesting about Hog Creek Castle is obviously his good race when he catches the right setup and shows up and runs a good race. He's a really nice horse. Each of his last 3 starts, they had 6 furlongs. I just think 6 furlongs is too short for him. 7 to 8 furlongs around 1 turn. I think that's what he wants, and he might catch the right setup here.
And that's why he went with him on top, and he's going to be a price in here as we take a look at our selections. Hog Creek Castle, your top pick. I think Mr. Freeze is just the best horse in this race. He's been knocking on the door. Unfortunately, not a lot of price potential with him, but that's where you're going, 11-9.
Yeah, I put Mr. Freeze second in this race. I'm not way against him. I just wonder if maybe cutting back to a 1 turn mile with all the speed to his inside, maybe that won't work that well for him. Hog Creek Castle, on the other hand, I think is a little underrated. I think this is the right distance for him, and it might set up the right way.
So many different ways to go in the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Mile. It's race 12 on Fountain of Youth Saturday, and has an approximate post of 5:01 Eastern. Good luck.